Mark Gotze is the director of the Ohio Innocence Project at the University of Cincinnati and author of Blind Injustice, a former prosecutor exposes the psychology and politics of wrongful convictions. Now, Mark believes that Scott had an unfair trial. Now, Mark, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Now, you're not saying that you believe Scott Peterson is innocent. You're saying you believe that he deserves a fair trial, correct?
Yeah, and I think that if you look at the current new evidence that's been brought to light and the advances in science, and looking at the science, the forensics that were presented back at his original trial and what we know about it now, it's a totally different ballgame. And, you know, some of the things that Nancy Grace was saying just now on this show is wrong. And Nancy, I'd ask you, and would you say under oath that you've actually read the habeas petition in the California Supreme Court, and you've studied the advances in science and all the things that are reflecting back on the original trial and showing the things that were unreliable and were wrong in the original trial? Because I think you haven't.
Nancy, did you hear the question?
I heard the statement. I didn't realize it was a question. I thought he was continuing to pontificate. Actually, sir, I am a crime victim myself, and I have devoted my life to not only prosecuting and representing crime victims, but to always seeking the truth. And as a matter of fact, yes, I have read the legal documents in this case. And I've spoken in depth with Janie, who I respect a lot, and she has many points that I think are valid to be argued. But do I believe he deserves a new trial? No, I do not.
Okay, well then let me ask you this. If you've read the most recent documents, the state's expert at trial did the fetal analysis and said that the baby Connor died on December 24th, which fits the state's theory, and used a formula and the theory of this Dr. Gente, this famous forensic pathologist in this field. Well, now Dr. Gente has chimed in and said this person actually made huge mistakes. Number one, used the wrong formula. There's different formulas you use depending on what information you have, like the last period of the mother or different sonograms, and used the wrong bones. And when you actually, and he's the expert. He's the one that developed these theories. And he said, this expert that the state called at trial misapplied my theories. If you apply the correct theory, Connor lived until January 4th, until January 3rd or 4th. And let me go back to another point you brought up with Lacey. The reason why the burglars don't want to talk when Lacey confronted them is because he said, I'll take the 5th. Because they don't want to be implicated in this. If somebody abducted Lacey because Lacey confronted them and Lacey and the baby lived a little bit longer, by that time they knew exactly where to dump the body. The dog scent stuff, the dogs they used had failed 2/3 of their qualification tests. They failed more often than they passed.
One of the dogs was wrong 75% of the time.
That's right. This is unreliable. This is junk science, along with the title stuff and the baby science that was used. We now look at this through the lens of 2018 advances, and we see a completely different story.